Here's the growing chamber of my high pressure cloner. The upper section is the canopy, the lower black section is the root zone. Both are controlled independently by timers. The nozzles in the canopy are controlled by this timer, which is a 4-second every 90-minute mist. And this timer is the root zone, and that's 0.6 seconds every 2 minutes. The canopy frame itself is made of 1/2-inch PVC with off-the-shelf fittings. The clear plastic is actually a UV-resistant shower curtain that was sort of cut to fit, and I'm using these little neodymium magnets to make the closure so that it's kind of self-sealing. Inside I have coleus that are about a week and a half old that are going to be repotted any day now. I'm just using coleus to map out the distribution of the mist, making sure that it's uniform. And as you can see, they're all doing pretty well. Inside, we can see the roots are growing pretty well. Those over the side white PVC items are the distribution mechanism, and I'll show you that in a little while, to generate a very uniform mist coverage. The white frame is the nozzle support, and I have 4 nozzles in this system. The frame is adjustable in the vertical direction. And that is this portion of the system. My first attempt at a high pressure aeroponics system. Here is the main pump with a check valve to a pressure switch. We have a power switch, which I highly recommend. This is for the main pump. We have the accumulator tank here, to which I have a pressure gauge, a pressure release relief valve. Here we have, closer look, a ball valve to help drain the tank if I need to drain it. It's a little aside. There seems to be, certain sources say that you pressurize the air under the bladder to your final water pressure. That's wrong. Okay, you only pressurize the air in this tank to about 15, no more than 20 psi, and the pump will bring the water pressure up to the needed 100 psi or whatever it is you want to preset. Here is an inline filter. I think this is a 50 mesh. Here are the solenoid valves. One goes to the 70-gallon root zone portion of the setup, and the other goes to the canopy portion of the setup. I've adjusted the timer to 1 second on and 10 seconds off, just so that we can watch it spray in real time. Okay. Here's the manifold and the nozzles, and we can see that when it sprays, I get reasonably good coverage, although I was finding some areas were drier than others, and I was getting different types of plant responses. So the mission was at that point to see what I could do to make the distribution of mist a little more uniform. And what I came up with was these fans that were made out of basically scrap PVC and an 80mm waterproof fan and an IP68 waterproof fan. As you can see, this is adjustable in the Y plane as well as in the X plane. The thing about these fans is that I've wired them up with what's called an off-delay circuit. What that does is when the solenoids receive their power impulse to fire, that impulse also turns the fan on. But the fan circuit is an adjustable time delay. So it's, in this case, it'll stay on for 4 seconds and then turn itself off and wait for the next irrigation event, and it'll do the same. So here we are, we'll turn this on. Now the fan circuit is on, and we can see the difference hopefully in the spray itself. Okay. And it's different. Here we'll actually see if we can watch it in action here. I say it works very, very well for what it's supposed to do. So, next, we'll look at the recycle system. In this case, you'll see I have a recycle pump over here, the pressure switch, a pressure gauge, and 2 canister filters which contain ice pure cartridge filters. They're 0.1, oh, I'm sorry, they're 1 micron particle size, and they're also activated carbon. Now, for me, that's what I needed because I'm simply doing a cloner. I'm just looking at very early stages in root growth. So for me, this is just perfect. Obviously, I could have done this with the main pump and just valving it to get the recycle back to the reservoir, but I decided I wanted to do it this way so that I built some redundancy in the system in case the main pump goes out. I can swap out the recycle pump for the main pump until I got a replacement. I'm using Inkbird timers for this system. They're bought through Amazon at $27 each. I highly recommend them. They're very reliable, very easy to work with. The wiring is that for as you would any timer. It's very straightforward. Actually, I have the solenoids on this as well as the fans, so it's just a very straightforward timer setup. Right now, I have the root zone timer here and the canopy timer here. Root zone is set for 1 second on and 10 secands off for the purpose of the previous demonstration, but I think I'll just reset it right now to the original 0.01 minutes on and 2 minutes off that I had it originally, just to show you how easy it is to set these things. Go here to the menu, 3 seconds. Okay, it allows you to change the units. We're going to change to minutes. Now we go back to changing the time here. Okay, that's the 1 second, so instead of 1 second, we're going to go to 0.01 minutes. Okay, then we press that one again, and now this is the off time, and we're going to set it for 2 minutes off, and it's set. Okay, one of the nice things about this timer is that the memory is non-volatile, so if you lose power, you can turn it back on and the cycle is just going to start from the beginning. Okay, so you don't have to worry about reprogramming every time you get a little glitch. As far as the switches go that you see, I recommend these. This one controls the nozzles, basically turns the nozzles off regardless of what the timer says it should be doing. The nozzles won't fire if this is in the off position. It will fire normally if it's in the on position. This bypasses the timer altogether and turns the nozzles on. So I can check the nozzles. I don't have to wait for the timer to kick in. Okay, this one just shuts the power off to that circuit. So I can shut the power off to the canopy and still maintain power in the root zone. So that's that. The rest of the control system, up here I have a battery backup in case I lose power. I don't lose plants. Here is the switch to the recycle pump. This is a 120 volt strip. This is another 120 volt strip. This is a 24 volt AC strip that's wired to the transformer, which is located over here. Okay, this is an event timer. Sometimes I'll plug the fan into this just to get 2 different mist distributions, one with the fans and one without the fans. I can set this to be on or off for various amounts of time. In here is an electromechanical Snyder relay with a 24 volt AC coil, which I use to, in conjunction with the dedicated delay off circuit, which I bought for about $8. It controls the fans. Here's a potentiometer that controls the fan speed. So when an impulse is sent to the solenoid to fire, generate a pulse of mist, it also starts the fan by closing this relay. The normally open terminals of this relay are connected to the push button of the off delay. In other words, I removed the push button and connected it to the normally open terminals there. So that acts like the momentary stimulus to start the timer circuit. And then I preset the time here to about 3.5 seconds on. The circuit is good to 0 to 10 seconds. And you can actually manipulate that if you need to, but that should be plenty. And that's essentially the control system. Okay, here's the reservoir for the supply water. This is a cloner, so I'm really only interested in the early root development. I'm not looking to grow anything to completion. Here we have the line from the accumulator. When I want to go to release the pressure, the water has somewhere to go. Here is a line to the recovery system for the used irrigation water. It recycles. And here is the supply line to the main pump and the nozzles. This is just a homemade little float valve or float indicator as to how much water I have in the tank. It's just a piece of scrap styrofoam stuck in a piece of 1/2-inch PVC. And it works pretty well. It does what it's supposed to do. This here is the tray that I install the cuttings in. This closed cell foam, the cuttings go right down there and are suspended in the rooting container.